What if I told you that the exhausting struggle you face with lust, that silent, persistent war with sexual urges, is not a deep-seated weakness, but a critical spiritual warfare? This isn't just any minor skirmish. It is the definitive battle standing directly between your current self and the monumental rise of your absolute spiritual power. Every single time you make the conscious choice to deny that temptation, you aren't just barely avoiding sin or passing a simple moral test. You are actively unlocking a rare, powerful form of authority. This is an authority that the visible world around you cannot possibly recognize, but the entire spirit realm, heaven and hell, cannot and will not ignore. This entire journey is fundamentally not about temporary self-control. It's about aligning with your purpose. It's about harnessing a sacred internal fire. It's about being able to handle the divine weight you were uniquely born to carry. If you are watching this message right now, a deep part of you already knows this truth. You were never created to be average or easily dismissed. You feel that quiet, persistent pull deep in your chest. You sense that strange, powerful disconnect from the surrounding crowd, and you recognize precisely how lust constantly tries to keep your spirit low. The reason is simple and profound. Heaven is calling you much higher. Let me be absolutely clear about the practical commitment required. Committing to 90 days without sex, 90 days without masturbation, is not simply a casual detox or a physical cleanse. It is a powerful, intentional act of spiritual rebirth. When a man makes this radical choice to separate himself from the low-level energy drain, he instantly transforms. He becomes a fully sealed vessel for something truly sacred, something fiercely powerful, something that resonates with the eternal nature of God. And the specific, tangible changes that occur after those 90 days of disciplined focus might genuinely shock your entire reality. Do not blink. Do not skip ahead. Do not look away for a single second. This message is not intended for everyone who casually scrolls by. It is a direct summons for the chosen. If that profound word stirs anything deep within your soul, you already know precisely who you are meant to be. Now, let's begin to unpack the profound mechanics of this power. You've spent your entire life being taught that energy is merely about calories consumed, movement performed, and metabolic rate achieved. But I am here to reveal what they deliberately fail to teach you in schools and through conventional wisdom. When you commit to abstinence, when you decisively cut off the never-ending destructive cycle of sexual release, you are not just preserving a little bit of physical strength or endurance. You are actively awakening a fierce, deep-seated spiritual electricity within your core. The transformation starts in a subtle way. You will wake up one morning and instantly feel profoundly sharper and more mentally focused than ever before. You will walk into a room, and people will glance at you with a noticeable difference in their eyes. Your gaze will become deeply anchored, incredibly grounded, and intensely focused because you are no longer scattering your spiritual resource. You are actively and powerfully concentrating it inwards. And here is the most astonishing part of this process, the consequence that no one anticipates. When a man stops the unconscious, habitual release of his precious life force, his very voice changes. It deepens. His posture instantly shifts, becoming straighter, heavier, and more powerfully deliberate. This occurs because his most potent energy is no longer leaking out into a void of momentary pleasure. It is now actively flowing back up, cycling into his own command center. Understand this critical truth. Your seed is not just a common biological substance used for reproduction. It is a sacred spiritual container, a vessel of profound intelligence, personal legacy, deeply rooted identity, and raw spiritual command. Every single time that life force departs from you without a powerful, consecrated purpose, a measurable piece of your inner world, your potential and your focus leaves with it. But when you learn to hold it, when you achieve mastery over the craving and rise above the immediate pull of the flesh, your entire nervous system begins a powerful, total recalibration. Your mind, which was once a constant traffic jam of noise, becomes profoundly still and quiet, and your spirit, your very essence, will finally begin to glow. But not like a mere light, more like a palpable, invisible weight. A specific kind of invisible gravity begins to form all around you. Strangers will instantly treat you differently. Your words will carry an innate influence even when you remain completely silent. You become an undeniable force. Why does this undeniable shift occur? Because your aura, your vital spiritual field, is no longer fractured and dispersed by the constant needy pull of lust. It becomes whole, powerfully magnetic, and intensely commanding. Women will instantly sense this change. Other men will feel it in your presence. Yet most people around you will struggle desperately to understand the source of this power, because this concentrated energy doesn't need to shout. It doesn't beg for approval. It does not perform for validation. It simply is. And when you decisively enter this sacred space where your essential life force is fully intact, you begin to instantly remember your true nature, not the compromised version the world tried to force upon you, but the version of you that heaven whispered into existence. The man who was always destined to walk with unshakable authority but couldn't, because his essential fuel was constantly leaking out into the void. And this is precisely where the spiritual depth truly takes hold. This focused, consolidated energy doesn't just change the way the world perceives you. It radically transforms the quality of people and opportunities you immediately attract. Individuals with hidden detrimental agendas will suddenly feel profoundly exposed and uncomfortable in your very presence. Opportunities that once passed you by or seemed unattainable will begin to open up with astonishing ease. Your entire immediate environment begins to subtly adjust itself to your new frequency, not because you frantically chased it down, but because your inner, purified current has become far too strong and too magnetic to be ignored by the universe. This is exactly why true, sacred abstinence is a forgotten, nuclear-level spiritual weapon. It is the catalyst that transforms weak, scattered men into powerful, unshakable pillars. It turns the inner noise of distraction into the clear focus of vision. It transforms aimless wandering into powerful, laser-focused direction. But I must give you a serious warning. This profound and rapid shift is not comfortable or easy. You will feel ancient, powerful urges rise like a burning fire in your very bones. Your physical body will actively try to rebel against your command. Your mind will scream desperately for an escape, a justification to fall back into the old patterns, because what you are doing is rare, dangerous, and fundamentally revolutionary. You are deliberately and powerfully interrupting a systemic structure designed to keep you dependent, spiritually empty, and constantly sedated. But if you relentlessly hold the line, if you stay absolutely locked in on your goal, you will reach a definitive, sacred moment where the temptation instantly fades, and the consolidated power completely takes over. When that decisive day arrives, you will never need to announce your identity to anyone. Your sheer energy will speak for you, and trust me when I say, it will speak with an undeniable, deafening volume. But that, my friend, is only the beginning of your new story, because once your true power starts its ascent, so too does the intensity of the tests placed before you. The next critical phase of the journey is precisely where most chosen ones get unexpectedly ambushed, and the attack doesn't come from the external world, but from the insidious enemy within the mind. The way you choose to navigate this internal conflict will determine whether you truly ascend to your destined heights or fall back into the debilitating cycle of compromise. This is where we must focus our attention now. There is a clear, underlying reason why so many men feel profoundly lost and mentally scattered today. Even the strong ones, even the men who appear to have their lives completely together, they are not inherently lazy or broken. They are fogged. They are blinded by an invisible, suffocating film, a persistent cloud that sits over their minds like toxic smoke after a spiritual fire has been completely smothered. And do you know the main cause of this mental suppression? Lust. It's not just the singular act of lusting, but the constant non-stop flood of images, fantasies, cravings, and false dopamine hits that relentlessly hijacks the brain's highest functions every single day. Most men do not even realize the cumulative damage that is occurring. It starts subtly, a casual glance, a quick scroll, an innocent click, and before you consciously register it, your entire mental bandwidth is gone. You find you cannot focus on complex tasks. You cannot finish what you start with consistency. You struggle desperately to hear from the divine, because your mind is permanently tuned to the frequency of spiritual static. This discussion is not purely about morality. This is a direct conversation about intense mental warfare. Lust does not just affect your base urges. It fundamentally fractures your inner vision. And when a man cannot see clearly, he is paralyzed. He cannot effectively build. He cannot lead his life, and he cannot even truly know his own identity. But something truly miraculous happens the instant you finally pull the plug on this system. The moment you decide to break the destructive pattern, when you cut the signal that has been actively feeding your flesh while simultaneously starving your soul, everything begins to rapidly sharpen. The change doesn't happen all at once, but little by little the dense, suffocating fog begins its undeniable lift. The colors of the world look distinctly different. Your perception of time feels significantly slower and more manageable. Conversations become clearer and hold more meaning. You start to feel the authentic you again, but not the broken, compromised version. You feel the ancient, powerful self, the one beneath all the noise and distraction. And then, original, profound ideas will begin to flow into your mind. Not shallow thoughts, not the recycled thoughts you once copied from others, but genuine downloads, mental blueprints, profound visions, and specific instructions for your life. You are no longer just thinking more clearly than before. You are actively seeing through the veil of the mundane world. The clarity doesn't stop there. Suddenly, the hidden intentions of the people around you will become strikingly transparent. You will no longer be easily manipulated, played, or misled because your purified spirit is no longer asleep. You will view your own habits with fresh eyes. You will instantly spot traps and pitfalls before they can ensnare you. You will understand the voice of the divine, not as a faint whisper you have to strain to hear, but as a clear frequency that flows through every major decision. This profound, dangerous level of clarity is exactly why your transformation is feared by the systems of control. Because when a man achieves true sight, he becomes a profound threat. He stops being a simple slave to lust. He becomes a seer, and in ancient times, seers didn't just interpret dreams. They had the power to fundamentally shift empires. That same immense capacity resides deep inside of you, but it was deliberately buried under years of debilitating spiritual noise. When you stop draining your essential life force, your mind becomes a throne. And from that seat of power, the divine can begin its reign. But understand that there is a profound cost to this elevated clarity, because with light comes great responsibility. You will inevitably start to notice things you used to comfortably ignore. You will feel a strong, inescapable conviction about the words you use, the environments you inhabit, certain destructive relationships, and even the quality of your own thoughts. You will simply see too much truth to ever comfortably go back to the way you were. And when that happens, the true, original voice inside you will grow louder and more demanding than ever before. That powerful voice you spent years trying desperately to silence, that profound, constant feeling you've carried since childhood, the one that insisted you were definitively made for more, will resurface. And this time you won't just hear it. You will believe it to your very core. Because now your spiritual eyes are wide open, and what you see next will absolutely demand the full manifestation of a version of you that you've never had the courage to meet before. But you are about to meet him in the next chapter of this journey. You may have only thought you were just successfully resisting lust, saying no to a bad habit, or fighting off a few physical urges. But what if I told you that every single choice you make is an act of fighting for something eternal? Every moment you choose purity and discipline, every single time you deny the insistent demands of the flesh, you are being intensely watched by heaven, by hell, and by the entire spirit realm. Because the invisible battle you are deeply engaged in is about far more than your fleeting pleasure. It is about establishing your true position, your spiritual authority, and your rank in the universe. Let me explain this spiritual principle clearly. In the spirit world, there are no unearned titles without a hard-won battle, no crowns granted without carrying a cross of self-denial, and no true power achieved without a conscious public death to the flesh. And when a man deliberately lays down the most primal, self-serving parts of himself, not because he is forced to, but because he powerfully chooses to do so, a fundamental shift occurs in his eternal identity. He is instantly no longer just an ordinary believer. He becomes a spiritual threat. He is not just a man. He is a marked one, branded in the spirit realm, a disciplined warrior who flatly refused to bow to the altars of lust, addiction, and comfort. And heaven takes immediate, profound notice. The divine is not moved or impressed by mere appearance. It is not impressed by natural talent, practiced charisma, or a charming image. But when the divine sees a man who consistently denies himself in secret, who consciously chooses a powerful consecration when absolutely no one else is watching, he begins to instantly authorize him for greater things. Heaven starts assigning tangible weight to your very words, to your desperate prayers, and to the authority of your silence. Suddenly, when you speak truth, angels are mobilized. Resistant atmospheres instantly change and stubborn chains begin to break. Why? Because you have consciously paid the necessary price for true spiritual weight. You willingly gave up what the world relentlessly glorifies in order to carry the profound, invisible power that the world can never logically explain. And do not believe for 1 second that the kingdom of hell isn't watching this transformation as well. Because when you walk in this new, intense purity, when your heart is clean and your vessel is full of light, the forces of darkness instantly recognize you, not with the typical fear of the movies, but with a strategic respect. They stop attacking you with the same predictable frontal assaults as before. They begin to heavily strategize around your new presence. They send distractions, counterfeits, and subtle emotional setups. Why? Because you have become far too costly and powerful to confront head-on. They see what ordinary men cannot, that you have successfully crucified your weakness, and in its place you now powerfully carry a burning fire, an unshakable, focused fire. You are no longer a reactionary man chasing validation or constantly seeking approval. You do not break or crumble under the first wave of temptation. You walk with something ancient, something sacred, something spiritually violent in the unseen realm, yet translating into a powerful, deep peace in your presence. And this authority did not come from an inspiring self-help book or a quick sermon. It was fiercely forged in your private war, in the lonely nights, the tears no one saw, the critical moments where your flesh screamed to give in, but you firmly refused. That is the true forge where your absolute authority was created, in the fire that no one applauded, in the silence that no one witnessed. And now you are not just a man. You are a vessel. Heaven recognizes you. Hell actively avoids you. And the world is about to begin listening to your command. But listen closely one last time, because here is where the legacy truly begins. This immense authority is not a trophy to be admired. It is a sacred responsibility, a powerful weight that must be respected. And if you fail to fully understand how to handle it with reverence, you will attract great power without the foundational purpose to protect it. You will carry divine favor without the necessary discipline to maintain it. The next phase, the phase where true legacy is established, demands absolute spiritual maturity. Every decision, every single step you take from here must matter. We must go there now. There is a powerful, unspoken phenomenon that occurs when a man achieves the profound mastery of his internal urges. It is something powerful, magnetic, and completely unspoken. It does not begin with the words you say. It is not your clothes, your smile, or your status. It is your inherent frequency. When a man walks through life with his essential sexual energy fully untouched, deeply stored, and consciously protected, he radiates an energy that is ancient and deeply compelling. Women do not just casually notice it. They feel it on a visceral, instinctual level. Without you ever having to say a single word, they sense a definitive presence that is stronger, different, and profoundly uncommon. Because in a world oversaturated with men driven purely by weak lust, a man powered singularly by a higher purpose is a complete and utter shock to the system. He does not stare with desire. He does not anxiously chase for validation. He doesn't aggressively try to impress. He simply observes. He listens intently. He carries a profound, deep stillness like a potent weapon. And that profound stillness, ironically, creates a tremendous spiritual noise. Because when a man is no longer moved by the low demands of his flesh, the flesh itself begins to move toward him, not out of fear, but out of a deep, primal fascination with his contained power. You must realize this fact. Most women are simply not used to truly spiritual, self-mastered men. They are accustomed to men who constantly want something from them, men who look with a transparent hunger, who lead with need, who are secretly hoping for a fleeting moment of validation or conquest. But when you have completely extinguished the needy beast inside, when you have taken your lust and firmly laid it on the altar of sacrifice, you become spiritually untouchable. And suddenly, they start looking at you with entirely different eyes, not necessarily because they immediately want you, but because they simply cannot understand you. They sense something profoundly steady, unbothered, a quiet, powerful authority that cannot be easily seduced or manipulated. And this is precisely where your greatest test will begin, because I am telling you the truth. This powerful new attraction is not a reward for your discipline. It is a carefully laid trap, a crucial test of your newly acquired level of power. The same spirits that once attacked you through the anonymity of your phone screen now walk directly into rooms wearing charm and perfume. They know they can no longer successfully tempt your eyes or impulses. So they go after your confidence. They try to convince you that you have absolutely earned this now, that you deserve a little pleasure for your sacrifice, that all this purity must logically lead to an indulgence. And while it does lead to immense power, it is certainly not that indulgence. This entire season of consecration is not about self-gratifying pleasure. It is about intense preparation for what is next. You are currently being meticulously positioned for your destiny. Your name is actively being whispered in powerful rooms you've never physically entered. Doors are rapidly forming for you in the spirit realm. The spiritual weight of your voice is dramatically increasing. But one single moment of distraction, one simple compromise, one seemingly innocent connection, and all that hard-won authority is gone in an instant. That is precisely how the enemy works. He doesn't come with fire and horns. He comes with charm, with seductive smiles, and with impeccable timing. The closer you get to your purpose, the more attractive you become to those who were never meant to be a part of your future. That is why absolute discernment is now your most essential tool. Because not every beautiful woman who enters your life is a blessing sent by God, and not every connection is a confirmation of your path. Some are meticulously crafted assignments sent solely to distract, subtly detour, and utterly dismantle you. And if you fall at this critical junction, you don't just lose your momentum. You teach the enemy the exact blueprint of how to break you in the future. But if you stay steady, if you firmly hold your frame, fiercely guard your spirit and walk with profound reverence, you become more than just attractive. You become holy. And holiness has an unmistakable, powerful glow that no makeup or facade can ever match. It will attract the right kind of woman, the rare kind, the kind who prays more than she seeks posts, the kind who sees your powerful silence and doesn't frantically try to fill it. She honors it, but you will never, ever find her if you fall for the tempting counterfeits who were sent to test the limits of your power. So stay focused. Stay in the knowledge that you are chosen. Stay hidden and fortified in the divine presence. Because what is coming next will require a version of you that absolutely cannot be swayed by anything or anyone. And the man who survives this phase, he doesn't chase what's next. He walks directly into it with fire in his eyes and a spiritual sword firmly grasped in his spirit. After the rigorous 90 days, something in your spirit doesn't just feel slightly different. It is fundamentally and permanently different. You are no longer wasting your energy fighting the same petty battles. You are no longer haunted by the same low-level urges. You have formally graduated from merely surviving the constant struggle to fully aligning with your true, authentic power. This intense journey you just completed wasn't just about quitting a single bad habit. It was a necessary divine process of preparation. Preparation for your purpose, preparation for your next level of movement, and preparation for absolute alignment with your destiny. See, once your vessel is clean and consecrated, the divine doesn't just bless you with material things. It begins to specifically assign you for tasks. It trusts you with deeper, more profound truths. It places heavier keys of responsibility into your hand. And it begins to place you in rooms that require absolute silence, unshakable discernment, and unhesitating obedience to a higher call. Not everyone in your life sees the change, but they all powerfully feel it. Your voice suddenly carries a strange, unmistakable weight. People listen intently. Not because you speak louder, but because you are now speaking from a deep place few have ever reached. You are no longer just thoughtlessly repeating what you heard from others. You are now actively releasing the undeniable truth that you personally carry within your being. Because when a man walks 90 days without any pollution, when he is no longer ruled by impulsive lust, vanity, or fleeting desire, he transforms into a highly precise prophetic instrument. And prophetic in this context doesn't always mean religious. It means you walk with powerful precision. You move in perfect sync with divine timing. You stop frantically chasing things. They begin to come actively looking for you, because heaven has clearly put your name on the door of the opportunity. You will notice things rapidly shifting in your favor. You stop attracting chaos and drama. You begin to attract absolute clarity. You stop begging for opportunities. You effectively become the opportunity. You stop trying to awkwardly fit into other people's restrictive lives and begin to realize you were specifically designed to disrupt them with truth. You walk into places and don't even consciously realize it. But the entire atmosphere of the room instantly adjusts. Conversations pause. People lean in toward your quiet center. This happens not because you are special in the conventional sense, but because you are sent. You carry the distinct, powerful scent of a warrior who conquered himself and is now ready to carry something infinitely greater than his own being. And the divine wastes nothing on this journey. Every single tear shed, every restless night endured, every fierce battle with lust, shame, guilt, and silence was a necessary brick in the foundation of your authentic, unbreakable identity. And now, you have become a consecrated vessel perfectly fit for your true purpose, definitively set apart for maximum spiritual impact. But here is the part most men absolutely do not expect. Once you are fully aligned, you will notice that the level of resistance increases significantly. This is not a sign that you are off track. It is simply confirmation that the enemy just received the official notification that you are now fully activated. You no longer merely live for your own sake. You now spiritually carry generations inside you. Bloodlines will instantly shift when you speak the truth. Destructive patterns will shatter when you simply pray a sincere prayer. Destinies will awaken when you simply show up in your full power. You are no longer a passive part of the old broken system. You have been specifically assigned to actively confront and transform it, and you cannot effectively carry that immense assignment if your spiritual vessel is constantly leaking its power. That is precisely why the fire of the test is stronger now. That is why temptation comes back cleverly disguised as promised rest, comfort, or a reward. But now you see through the entire facade, because when you walk in your true purpose, you stop meekly asking for an easy life. You start praying for absolute, unwavering clarity. You stop frantically chasing low-level pleasure. You start actively pursuing perfect obedience to your higher call. You don't just want to momentarily feel good. You want, above all else, to finish well and complete your assignment. And when a man firmly decides that finishing his race well is infinitely more important than feeling good, he becomes a force that is truly unstoppable. But don't relax just yet, because now that your feet are aligned, the next essential step requires the full commitment of your spirit. Because what is waiting ahead is not just a blessing, it is a commission. And once you accept that sacred commission, everything in your world changes forever. Listen to me with every fiber of your being. This was never just a video you stumbled upon. It was a direct, powerful summons. Something deep inside of you is now fully and fiercely waking up. Something ancient, something royal, something the world tried its best to bury beneath layers of addiction, distraction, and debilitating shame. But now that true inner voice is no longer a faint whisper you can ignore. It is a powerful, undeniable roar. You were never meant to crawl through life, constantly begging for external validation. You were definitively born to command, to immediately interrupt spiritual darkness simply by walking into the room, to fundamentally shift the entire atmosphere by your mere consecrated presence. The sole reason your private war has been so incredibly intense is because your ultimate assignment is not small or insignificant. This disciplined path of 90 days, or whatever time it takes, is not a restriction placed upon you. It is your personal, necessary refining fire. It is the intensive forging process of a powerful weapon that heaven fully intends to deploy. Every single time you decisively say no to lust, you are simultaneously saying a resounding yes to a lasting legacy. Every time you overcome a temptation, you are causing a significant tremor in the unseen realm. Demons flinch. Angels immediately take their position. They recognize precisely who you are now, not because of your impressive words, but because of the palpable consecration you carry. You are fundamentally not like the others around you. You have been powerfully marked. Your energy now carries an undeniable weight. Your every step carries the immense force of your purpose, and your quiet silence carries the power of prophecy. From this definitive moment forward, you do not move like a slave to your impulses. You walk with the conscious awareness of a son. You do not frantically chase low-level pleasure. You consciously carry the fire of a divine mandate. You have been fully activated, anointed, and formally assigned, and the world has absolutely no idea what kind of revolutionary force is about to be released through your life. So this is your charge, your final powerful instruction. Stand firm. Stay pure, stay dangerous. Because what is rapidly coming next for you is not just merely surprising. It is supernatural, and it is actively searching for a consecrated vessel that will not leak its power. Let it be you. Let the new man fully emerge now. Let heaven find you ready and absolutely prepared. Drop this statement into the comments right now. I walk clean. I walk chosen. Write it, seal it, speak it into existence. Let the realm of darkness know definitively that you didn't simply watch a video. You firmly answered a call. This is your time. This is your turn. And from this day forward, you never ever walk the same again.